Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. Happy to have you here. We're going to be talking with Toni Ray-Ingram from Collette in just a minute, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that travel program. We've worked with Collette at the Senior Community Center for many years, and they offer a lot of exciting programs, which I'm excited to have you learn about. But first, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for sponsoring Something to Talk About. Fieldstone offers assisted and independent living along with a vibrant memory care community up on Rolling Bay. If you'd like to take a tour or learn about day stay or respite programs, call Celia or Jamie. Here's their phone number 206 594 1010, or visit the website at fieldstonecommunities.com, or both. They'd love to have you come by for a tour, and they'll treat you to lunch or dinner if you give them a little heads up. I'd also like to acknowledge that we live and work and play on the ancestral homeland of the Puget Sound Coast Salish people, specifically our neighbors, the Suquamish tribe, the people of the clear salt water, who have lived on the waters of the Salish Sea since time immemorial. We honor them, and we are learning from their stewardship of these lands and waters. Toni, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I know that you come by the center in person, and you'll be doing
Yes.
that on the 7th. And we'll say that again in a little while at 1 in the afternoon to talk about specific programs. But I'm hoping that you might tell us a little bit just to start off about the company that you work for, Collette, and why it's a good travel option for folks who are interested in traveling, especially seniors, the folks we work with.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Reed. And it's nice to see everybody again. I've worked with Mary now for many years. And as you mentioned, Reed, Colette has been in conjunction with Bainbridge Island Senior Center for many, many years. I have been proudly representing Colette Travel for 27 years this year. I had to do the math of
Wow.
our 107-year history. We're 107 years old, still family owned and operated. We are on our third generation of Sullivan family. And Jacqueline is now our president and CEO, and that makes us the only female-run tour operator in the United States and the oldest in the United States. We have weathered many storms in the travel industry, most recently, of course, 2020, and we've done so with style and grace thanks to the Sullivan family and Collette Travel. When other companies balked at giving money back and gave travel vouchers that may or may not be good, et cetera, and so forth, we did the right thing and we simply gave clients their money back. We haven't run your tour, we haven't earned your money. And that's what we have always done since my time with them and even before that. So as when I say I've proudly represented this company for 27 years, that is a true uh, meaning to me that I have proudly represented them. We offer tours on all 7 continents, and when I get together with Mary and Lena, hi Lena, happy New Year. um, we sit down and we go over every aspect of the tours in depth to try and choose what will best fit the core values of Bainbridge Senior Center: camaraderie, activity, education, everything that you stand for with the senior center and the senior groups. We look at all of these things. So, one is physical activity level. Some tours are for more gentle walkers, some are for more adventurous. We look at price point. Some are more budget friendly, some are a little bit more expensive. And we look at destinations, what's of interest, what people have talked about. At my presentations, I always have a yellow tablet of paper that I send around and say, hey, what are you guys interested in seeing today and in the future? And then we can talk about what will fit that agenda. And if I can share my screen for a moment, I can share with you some of the tours that are coming up in the near future.
You
There it
should
is.
be able to share your screen,
There we go.
and so there we go.
So we already have America's Music Cities on and French Riviera, but coming soon, I'll be talking about bluegrass country and Smoky Mountains. Fantastic itinerary, which gets you into the Smoky Mountain National Park. Most people don't know that's our #1 most visited national park in the United States. And I will tell you, it is a amazing destination. We'll also be talking about a cruise coming up to the Holland Tulip Festival, seeing the tulips in Holland on off of a cruise ship. We have one of my favorites, Islands of New England, which gets us to the East Coast. We have such a beautiful area in our own backyard, but the East Coast of New England has some amazing history. We actually go to see JFK's weekend getaway and so forth. It's so amazing. We have a really adventuresome tour coming up to South Africa, which will take in safaris as well as the wine country and big cities such as Cape Town. And one of my personal favorites is the tour to Australia, which is our South Pacific Wonders. It takes in all of the best parts of Australia. So those are some that are coming up in the near future that you'll be hearing me talk about in person. And I know that Mary and Lena and everyone puts out exactly when I'm going to be there to talk about these things. And we do try to record the presentations so you could hopefully put them on your web links as well. And speaking of web links, I do want to share something with you, and that is, if I can find it, there it is, a little bit about where you can find more information about all of the tours that we have with Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. And we have a web link dedicated to every single one of the trips that we're offering with you. This one happens to be our Sicily and its islands. And here, let's move this out of the way a little bit. There we go. Up here, of course, you can find out who to call, the dates of travel, what is the pricing, and then if you're just looking online, where to view the full itinerary. They can even print out the itinerary. And scrolling down, we're very transparent about the hotels that we utilize. We're 4+ quality, centrally located hotels. So if you've been with other companies before, you may see that the hotels are out by the airport or something like that. That's not what we do. We share every one of the hotels you're staying at. If there's any optional activities, we have very few, and industry-wide, we have included more than any other company. We have very few extras that you have to pay for, either before or on the trip. If we do have any, they're listed here. On this particular itinerary, Sicily and its islands, I just went to Sicily beginning of last year. Let me tell you, it was amazing. I think we were there in May, and the lemon trees already had full lemons the size of my hand hanging on fruits and oranges, and oh, it was beautiful. But other companies, when they go to Sicily, if you want to see and do anything, it's extra. When you get there, it's out of pocket. You have to pay extra if you want to go to the UNESCO World Heritage Site. You have to pay extra if you want to go to see the cathedral. We include all of the must-see items. They're never extras, right? And then down on our web link, what is the accommodation? What is the ADA? What is the money? Those, you just click on that little plus button and you can find out so much about the itinerary.
So it sounds like what you try to do is make sure that if you're planning a trip, you can have a real sense of exactly what's going to happen when and what it's going to cost, and what choices you're going to have to make while you're on the tour.
100%. And up here, in the upper left hand is the best way to sign up. We used to have paper forms. We no longer have those because we couldn't guarantee what was happening to that piece of paper after it was scanned into my company. I walked into a person's office at another company, not with you, because Mary and Lena are really responsible. All those papers were sitting on somebody's desk with clients' credit card information on them. And that's not safe. That's not something we wanted to be a part of. So we have made it a little challenging for our clients, but something I am there to help with. Lena and Mary, I know whenever I come for a presentation, I'm bringing an extra computer, a little laptop. I open it up at the beginning of the presentation, and I bring up this web page for each of the tours. And then if clients want to sign up, they simply click on this button and it brings them to this page. I'm making sure at each of my appointments, I'm staying on a little bit longer so that we have time to help them walk through this process. And it's very simple. What type of room do you want? You want a single room, a double room, or a double or a triple room? Or if you're traveling with children, which we don't have a lot of. Then it goes on to air and travel protection. That's our insurance program. Tour customization. Do you want to go a day early, stay a day late? Payment information and complete. It's a very easy 5-step system, the same 5 steps that were on the paper form. I know it can be a little intimidating for clients not used to working with computers, but that's why I'm going to stay a little bit longer. Hopefully, Mary or Lena or one of the staff members can be in with me and we can walk folks through this system so everybody's comfortable with where we're at. And this can all be found on that web link. So,
Then when I've made my travel arrangements, is it easy to print out the agreements and so forth that I
yes,
just made?
100%. Now, when you hit that final payment, within 24 hours, we're going to send you an email receipt with a link of how to make further payments. And I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. And one of the things that is really nice, especially for seniors that might be on a little bit of a fixed income, you can make as many payments as you want up to 90 days prior to departure. So that is a really awesome factor. I joke because I made payments for my husband and I to do a Christmas tour. He didn't know why he was eating so much top ramen this last year, but but, I also made sure I took out our trip insurance, and I talk about our insurance. Sometimes I feel like I'm more of an insurance salesperson than a travel person, but I believe in
Do
our
explain
insurance.
why it is
Yeah.
that you think that that's important.
The day you book, you purchase our trip insurance. You then have up to 6 months prior to departure. If you have to cancel for any reason with that trip insurance up to 6 months prior to departure, you're going to get a full refund, including the insurance. Then, after that 6 months, if you have to cancel for any reason up to 24 hours prior to departure, you're going to receive a full refund minus the price of the insurance. So up to 6 months, it's completely risk-free. After that 6 months, it is just the cost of insurance. I will share my screen one more time to that website because I will show you a little bit about where you can find more information on the insurance. And down here, it will talk about when, or it should say, when our 6 months is up. On this one, it didn't for some reason. But when you scroll down, if you click just here, worry-free cancellation, it takes you to another site. I won't get into all of it, but it gives everything about that insurance. 100%. Oh, here it is. Under the price of the tour down here, not included in the price is the cancellation waiver insurance, which for this trip, which is 14 days to Europe, it's $549. Now, for $549, that's going to protect me before the trip, and it's going to protect me on the trip for any unforeseen incidents that could occur, and we hope they never do. I'm knocking on wood as they say this. Um, Trips and falls, trips to hospitals, lost luggage, delayed flights, if you have to stay over at a hotel because your flight was canceled, and that's out of pocket at that time, but the insurance covers that. Now, let me tell you what it covered for me for my Christmas tour that I was supposed to be on the first week of December. Supposed to be. Made all my payments, had my final payment in. I was so excited because I love the Christmas markets of Europe. They're so beautiful. My husband and I were all set. We're all excited. I broke the news to him. Hey, we're going to Europe for Christmas. Our son called and said, "Hey, Grandma." I said, "What?" He said, "Number 7 grandchild will be due the first week of December." I said, "Put a cork in it. I'm going to Europe." But we canceled our trip, got a full refund minus the price of the insurance, but I wasn't gonna miss my grandchild being born. And then she decided to come early. So but you know what? That's what it is. It was a wonderful Christmas this year. Canceling for any reason. I didn't need a doctor's note. God forbid I didn't need a death in the family. We'd simply had an unexpected event occur in our family and we had to cancel. So, that is what that insurance covers.
Yeah, I've
You
definitely heard people who have taken trips through Collette and with the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center express gratitude for the fact that you lay that out and the idea that the insurance is for everything,
Yep.
both protection before and during the trip.
100%. And I encourage everybody to take it. When I'm looking at $6,000 or $7,000, such as the Sicily trip, because it is a really long trip, um, $549 is a drop in the bucket if I have to cancel after that 6-month date. And that's, I can handle that. It would pinch, but I can handle it. But other companies, the closer you get to that seat reduction or to that departure date, the more they take out. And we don't want to be that company, so I always encourage that insurance 100% of the time.
So another thing that people have said that they really appreciate are the support for transportation.
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit about that?
I can, thank you. That's a great reminder. For all of our group tours that we do with your center, we are going to send a van or motor coach, depending on the number of clients that go, directly there to the Bainbridge Senior Center. They're going to pick them up there, take them all the way to Seattle, to the airport. And then when they arrive in their destination, we have a van or a bus waiting to take them to the hotel. And the same all the way home. So they do not have to worry about how to get from Bainbridge to SeaTac on the day of departure and back when they come home, where to park their car, all the things that can happen at the SeaTac airport to your car, we don't even want to think about these days. And all of that is taken off their plate. They just have to get there to the senior center. And if it's just 1 or 2 people that book the trip, which has happened in the past, and they're at the same address, we could even send a car directly to that address to pick them up. But if there's more than 1 or 2 people and they're at different addresses, we're gonna send somebody directly to the senior center. The one caveat to that is please don't leave your car there at the senior center. We do appreciate that. Have a friend or family member drop you off, and we'll send the van or the bus to pick you up. And for me, I love that idea because I just hand my luggage over to this nice person. I get in, I sit back, I relax, and we do make sure that that motor coach is there in plenty of time so that when you get to SeaTac, you are not running. We don't run through airports. We don't like to do
Excellent.
that. And if we do have a connection someplace, we always err on the safe side. Sometimes it's a long connection because the only other option was a really short one. And if we have that choice for air, we're always going to choose the longer one. So we don't run through airports. And I don't know, I'd be rather sitting having a cup of coffee for an extra hour at an airport than running someplace, you know.
I think that's the right attitude when you're on a trip, for
It's not
sure.
worth my
Lena, did
stress.
you have something you wanted to add in
I
there?
did. On that note, I love the whole transportation piece, Tony, because I know within when my family travels too, that's always such a high stress topic for their planning. But what I want to ask about that for Colette and our members. So Lena books a trip with Collette. She gets a ride from the senior center to the airport. Now, once in the airport, and I have mobility issues, much like many of our members, does Collette arrange assistance for people with disability or with mobility issues, like a wheelchair or some sort of assistance to get
Yes.
from the front door to the gate?
The really most important thing with that is you have got to whether you're traveling with us or anyone else, you have got to let us know well in advance, because it used to be you could just show up at an airport and ask for wheelchair assistance. The industry these days no longer allows that. It has to be in your record for the airline. So 100% important that they let us know well in advance that they need wheelchair assistance. And they do have to get from that very front door at least into the wheelchair area in the airport. And it's usually right down that little ramp as you come in to the right or left hand side, whichever door you're coming in. Now, with that said, if we know in advance, we can ask our motor coach or van for assistance with that, because if they do know they have a wheelchair assistance passenger, they are allowed at SeaTac to go up to those doors. If we don't know in advance, they have to go to the bus parking, which that's in the parking garage, and then they have to go up and over and in, which can be a little bit of a challenge for clients if they do have mobility issues. So the further out we know, the more we can let all modes of our transportation um,
So our
know.
members should probably put that when they're going online, they're like, I want to go to Italy, somewhere in that step, they'll want to let Colette know I'm going to need assistance from the door
Yes.
of the air, or I'm going to need assistance, period.
100%.
Okay.
And for our organizers, such as Mary, yourself, if a client comes to you and says, "Hey, I need assistance, how do I put that in my record?" We have a special phone number for our group organizers. One quick call, let us know, and it's in their record.
Okay.
I do believe in that booking process, there is an area that says for special needs as well. Now, with that said, in all of our tours and every time I come and do a presentation, I will always note what the activity level of any tour is. 1 is super easy, 4 is very, very challenging, like going to Machu Picchu in the high altitude, right? Most of our European product does come in at a number 3, because wherever we can park the bus is nowhere near what we want to go see, and there's walking involved. And that's just Europe that was built long before the motor coaches were involved, right? So I always tell clients, and I'm very, very honest with people, having been a former tour manager for 20 years with Collette, 30 years total as a tour guide. Um, it is very disheartening to get somebody on a tour that they are not physically able to do. It breaks their heart, it breaks my heart. I never want to be that person to sell a trip to somebody that they cannot do it. Because it's their money, it's their hard-earned money and their dream to go there. And then they get there and Europe is not America's with Disabilities friendly. And I had 6 people with walkers in Prague, in the Czech Republic, where the cobblestones will kill a normal person. A person with a walker is impossible. And they missed huge chunks of that tour. And these days, our motor coach companies are forbidden from letting anybody stay on the coach while the rest of the group goes to do something because of the heat waves they've been having. And they have to turn the bus off when the air conditioning off, and it's not safe to leave somebody sitting on a motor coach, right? And where the motor coaches park, there's very few cafes or anything of interest. This is specifically Europe, of course. But so I'm pretty honest when I do the presentations. With that said, as I mentioned, when we sit down and choose the tours, we do always offer a wide variety. There are tours here in the United States and Canada that are certainly Americans with disabilities accessible. And those that come in at an activity level 1 or 2, and we always make sure we have some of those on our docket for the next year, as well as into the 3s. I don't think we've encroached on a 4 yet. I don't see any of our groups hiking to the top of Machu Picchu, although I think it would be beautiful to go. I would hesitate myself on that one.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So there's a wonderful opportunity if to schedule a tour with people that you can enjoy the trip together. So multiple, if you're talking with somebody, you come to one of your presentations here and you do them a few times a year, and you find a program, a trip that looks interesting, and other people at the center are also interested. You know that you'll have a delightful time getting to know people better as you have a wonderful experience in Europe or in Nashville or wherever it is that you decide to go. But if you are interested in traveling to Machu Picchu, and there is a program that Collette is offering, is there a way that I can explore that on my own and book through Collette?
100%. And I would encourage anybody that's interested in an itinerary that we are not offering through the center for that camaraderie. They have something specific as their bucket list to talk with Mary or Lena. They'll give me a call and we can help them get signed up for that through the center, and still be able to book that individually without going as a group. But the idea that we're trying to promote as well is that idea of camaraderie where people might be a little hesitant to go someplace individually, but if other people in the community are interested in going, we'd love to get everybody together to go together as a group. But we do know that some people have a bucket list. My big one, aside from the Christmas market tours, is I've got 6 continents under my belt, just missing number 7, and that, of course, is the Antarctic. So someday that will be my personal bucket list, and I'm not certain that anybody else will go with me, but I will figure it out, you know. So yes, we
Alina,
definitely have
Yeah.
that ability.
Um,
Yeah, Lena.
I don't know if you touched base on this because I came in kind of late, but some of our members who, might want to know when we promote these trips that we're, through Collette, and we really highlight discount deadlines, save money if you book by this date.
Yes.
Wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about that the availability to still book after the deadline, but the price might be a little bit different?
Yeah, it could be a lot different,
Right.
unfortunately. We usually have between 6 and 7 months prior to departure, depending on the itinerary, that the price we're promoting is our set price. They book, that's the exact price. When we reach a certain date, 6 months prior to departure, in some cases, 7 months prior to departure, um, that's the date I release all unsold space back to Collette. So I always hold 10 seats for Bainbridge Island Senior Center, 10 spots on our tour. That means 10 spots for hotel rooms, whether it be double or single, 10 spots on the motor coach, 10 spots for the dining and everything that we've included. At that 6 months prior to departure date, I release that space back to inventory. It hasn't been sold, so we have to release it. That way, the senior center's never charged for it. There's no additional fees. That's our set price with air, with those wonderful transfers, everything. But the minute I release those seats, I also release our airspace. Now, that means that the airlines can then charge us whatever they want, and they always want more. So when we release our group hold on airspace, that way the airlines say you're an individual traveler now, we'll charge you whatever the going rate is. It can be within 30 minutes of me releasing that space, and that price can be 20, 30% higher. So highly recommend at least get your name and your deposit in prior to that 6 months mark. And afterwards, you can still make as many payments as you want. I always say start early, book straight away, make those payments. There's no risk up into that 6 months time period. You'll get all your money back if you do have to cancel. So highly recommend getting your name in before that, because I can sell you the tour at the same price as everybody else, but the is what's going to be more expensive after that 6 month mark.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. And
One last
yeah, go ahead, Lena.
One last question. You were talking a lot about Europe and ADAs looked differently than we are here in America.
Yeah.
What about, can you refresh my memory and those who don't know, cruises options through Collette?
We have a few cruises available. Mostly it is our riverboat cruising on the Danube for different times. We have a Mosel to the Rhine, and many, riverboat cruises. I'm not going to compete with some of the big guys out there like Viking and those ones you see on TV all the time. Ours are smaller, more intimate. We charter the ships. It's just Collette people on board. They are ADA friendly. The gangway is the challenge because the gangways on those vessels are not overly wide. So it is challenging to get a wheelchair or a walker up them, but they do have heavy handrails and staff members that can assist, and elevators on the ship. Elevators really slow on those ships. So start out early for dinner. But no, I'm not joking on that. Go early. But we don't have a lot of cruising. It's mostly land-based, which is what we've always done. And of course, almost all of our itineraries in the United States are very ADA. With that said, we do not have room for electronic scooters, but if somebody does have wheelchair needs, we do have the space for those. It's the scooters just take up too much space under the motor coach.
Well, all this attention that you're describing for understanding the clients and thinking about this and your experience personally, having been on the road as a tour leader, obviously plays into the kinds of attentiveness that you have when you come and talk to us about programs or talk with Lena and Mary about what kinds of things might be appropriate to the senior community center. Mary or Lena, do you want to talk a little bit about if people have ideas about places that we might want to talk with Collette about? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, Mary?
Yeah, well, if you have some ideas of places you'd like to go, we actually have a couple of Collette's catalogs here, and you can see where some of these destinations are, and then we can get with Toni and nail down timing, in the future so that we can put it on our bucket list.
Yeah, and we do, I think, how often are you coming, Toni,
I
to
try
the
to
center?
I try to get out there 4 times a year. My territory for representing Collette now is all of Washington, Northern Idaho, and Alaska. So that keeps my one person really busy with big destinations. I do drive everywhere except Alaska. You're lucky for me, though. I live on Whidbey Island, so I am not too far from you, and it's such a pleasant drive down the peninsula. That I do try to get over there at least 4 times a year, once per quarter, so I can visit with everyone, answer questions, and help your clients get signed up if need be. I have to tell you, there's 2 lovely ladies that come to your center. They have booked our America's Music Cities trip. And bucket lists can be everything from going to the Antarctic to America's Music Cities. These 2 lovely ladies have been trying to go there for 50 years. And through this program, they were able to both sign up and they're going. And it's coming up very soon. I'll be coming to talk with them about their documents and so forth. Oh, that is one thing to note. We do have these beautiful documents packets for everyone with nice books in them and their luggage tags and all of this good information. If I can't be there in person to review that with them, I will send you a Zoom link that they can watch at their convenience for the documents. But it has everything about it. And we do also have an app for the phone if they're savvy for phone apps that has everything in that booklet. So we like to do it on both sides of the coin. But it is such a nice thing to get that packet. You've made all your payments. It's like, oh my gosh, it's finally come true, my dream. And so those 2 nice ladies, they're getting ready to do this for their bucket list. So bucket list can be anything from New England fall foliage, America's Music Cities, our national parks, to anywhere overseas. We cover all 7 continents with 160 some odd trips available. So if there's not something we're offering at the center, please do let us know and we will get it on the books for you.
Great. And you're going to talk about upcoming trip to Sicily and the Bluegrass Tour on Tuesday, January 7th. You're going to be here at 1 in the afternoon.
That's correct. That's
We look
correct.
forward to it. Any last questions or comments? Is there something you'd like to add, Toni, or are we good?
I think we're good. I do want to thank you very much for allowing me to be on today. And thank you for Mary and Lena for all of the assistance you've given me over the last few years. And I look forward to seeing you all on the 7th.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks, Toni.
Thank
Thanks, everybody.
you.